And we are live. Live?
Live. It's a good
Live.
start. Yes, we are. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. So I'm going to go straight in this morning, introduce our guests. We're chatting to James Burton, who's a senior Sous and butcher, and Libby Paynton from United Fresh, and also project ambassador, and obviously Kris as well. Kris, what we wanted to discuss today is what the Burnt Chef Project actually does, and some kind of threads from that. But me and you have spoke about this before, where a lot of people have heard of the Burnt Chef Project, but then when you dig a little bit deeper and say, what do we do? They are often there's a bit of a hesitation, or they're not 100%, are they? So I thought today would be a good opportunity with our guests that we have to have a chat about that. Agreed?
Yes, yeah. I think we saw it firsthand in a room full of 100 people, didn't we? Where I said, who's heard of the Burnt Chef Project? And everyone put their hand up. And I said, right, leave your hand up if you can tell us exactly what we do. And everyone put their hand up. It was one person. So, yeah, I think because the business, the brands, the charitable work that we've done has grown so rapidly over a very short period of time. And we've added so much to our tools and resources and support mechanisms. I think inadvertently we've left people behind. So it's a great opportunity, a great format to be able to try and explain a little bit more about what it is that we do. Did you want me to lead, or were you going to ask our guests to put them under the spotlight and see?
I was going to start with James, actually, because we've discussed this on DMs and in person. But James, you've actually used the services that the Burnt Chef Project provides. So I thought it would be nice to start with James, and you can tell us a bit about your background and why you use the services, if that's okay, which ones you used, and how you came across them as well.
So I've been in the industry nearly 19 years now. So I've gone through the old school training, and then I've gone through what I would like to think is the now new school training. So I used the chat service, the 85258 number. I think I used it because I just felt like there was someone that I knew on the end of that line that didn't know me and didn't know the circumstances, but there was just someone I could talk to when I was really struggling mentally, and just thought, okay, I can't talk to anyone else. There's nowhere else I can really turn in my family life or something. So I thought, there's someone I can use that I don't actually know. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to give this a go, because I've known about the Burnt Chef Project since 2021, and tried to become an ambassador, but then unfortunately had to go through some quite major surgery, so never managed to actually go through with the whole thing. But I've always known it's there. So yeah, that's really why I used it, and why I needed to use it at the time that I used it. And just so I know it's there, basically, for the future as well as that present moment.
Oh, Kris, sorry, I thought you were going to jump in there.
No, well, yeah, I was just. I mean, it's always one of the most, I would say, ironic, but one of the most interesting things about this business is that we provide these services. It's very rare that we get to speak firsthand to individuals who've used them, because, yeah, we don't know who people are, whether it's fully anonymous. So just for those who are sort of watching this, what was your experience of that service in terms of response times, in terms of how the conversations were handled? Was it useful?
Yeah, everything was really good. It was very, obviously, as I say, and as you said, it was very confidential. They never asked for my name or anything like that. Response was super quick. It was almost like I was texting someone. They were texting back straight away. And then they did actually ask if I could make a phone call. But I was actually on my way home from work, and then just got home from work. So it was quite late at night. And I just, after a while, I really just wanted to go to bed. So I said, look, talking to you has been really good, but I feel like I want to go to sleep now. And they completely understood and said, that's fine, but if you need us again, just message back.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that as well. I appreciate that. And Yeah. Using services like this, so there's always a stigma. Is this right for me? Is it the right time? What happens if they know me? And these are all very normal things to go through. But I think that once you have utilized the service and you understand that it is confidential and it is available to you at any time, it opens up the doors then to not leaving it so long. If you wanted to have a conversation, or if you've got something that's a burning issue, you can speak to the support service, and it just means that even 24 hours a day. I take it you said you were on your way home, so it must have been quite late at night that this.
It was probably nearly midnight, if not after midnight.
Brilliant.
So yeah, there was someone there, and I didn't necessarily know if I would get a reply immediately, but I did. So I was like, okay, this is not better than I thought it was going to be, but it was even quicker than I thought it might be. Because obviously you don't know how many people are using the service at that one time at night. So I just didn't know really what to expect in terms of how quick the response would be. But yeah, it was perfect.
Good, thank you, James.
Obviously, that's how you've come across the service, and I want to move on to Libby. But before I do that, I think this is probably a good time. Anyone who's watching this, it would be great if they could comment what they think the Burnt Chef Project does. I would love to see what people's thoughts are on that. So anyone watching, please do pop it in the comments, and we can definitely highlight those as we go through. But Libby, obviously as an ambassador, firstly, how did you come across the Burnt Chef Project, and then what made you want to take that extra step and be an ambassador and help to push it forward?
Yeah, cool. So I actually found out about the project through a supply partner of ours in Southampton, and I was on a depot tour with him, and I saw his wristband. He was wearing one of the wristbands, and I just asked him the question about it, and it opened up this conversation about our experiences and why we thought mental health was so poor in the industry. And he actually ended up putting me in contact. I don't know if Kris will remember this. He actually ended up getting a phone call with me and Kris. And in all fairness, Kris he did not have to have a conversation with me at all. But I remember we were on the call for about an hour and a half on some random sort of Thursday afternoon or something. And he just listened to me talk about my gripes about mental health and hospitality and my experiences, and it was then that I just fell in love with the project and talking about how it came about, what we were doing, and I remember immediately as soon as we hung up the call, I applied to be an ambassador, because during the call I was like, how can I be involved, how can I help out, I want to be a part of this movement. And I applied for the ambassador program straight away. I was able to do all of the training. I got through the interview, thank goodness. And I mean, yeah, here I am today. And I mean, apart from wanting to be a part of, removing the stigma within our industry, one of the big reasons why I wanted to be an ambassador is because of my own experiences. So I've always struggled with depression and anxiety, and I've also always worked in hospitality. And I think at times my job role inflamed my mental health problems, and I got to a place where I was constantly battling between whether I was able to do a really good job in my career and having a healthy mental health. And I just got really sick of that. And I'm really lucky enough to have some fantastic supportive people around me, but it was only once I got the courage to actually talk to them about how I might not be able to continue on the same path that I was on, that everything was able to change, and I was able to get support. And I always just wanted to be maybe that person for somebody, or at least give somebody that opportunity to have somebody to talk to. And so yeah, I mean, I became an ambassador. I've absolutely loved it. It's something that pushes me outside my comfort zone, like doing this today. But also really soon on, as when I became an ambassador, I did a college talk. And bear in mind, I'm probably not too much older than a lot of those kids there, people. I just remember being there, and I turned up and I was so nervous, and I was like, they're not going to listen to me. They're going to think I'm boring. And the engagement I got from them was just fantastic, and it gave me so much hope in the future generations of our industry that I just haven't wanted to stop since, really. I mean, I think we all here, especially, you know, we're in the industry because we love it. But you can't be in it if you don't have a passion for it. And you know, I'm just so honoured to be a part of a project that can help improve the industry. I mean, I think I ramble quite a lot, so if I miss anything, let me know.
That was
Yeah,
You're in good company with Kris there on the rambling. It's fine.
good.
I think we should point out that you've also recently stepped up to become a chief ambassador and look after a team of ambassadors, which is huge congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm definitely biased, but I think my team's the best. 100%. Don't tell anybody else, but yeah.
No, it's a great team.
So from that initial, for both of you, finding the Burnt Chef project and using it in the ways that you have, and you know, coming on board with it or using the services, looking at it now, what do you think are the key points you've taken from it personally and at work? Like, how has it helped you? And do you pass what you're kind of gaining from that on to people around you?
I mean, from my point of view, I think it's really just about, well, it's not just about the service there, but one massive plus, and I think for myself and for everyone, that is the service is there. So if you do need it, it's not like you've got to go for months waiting for the service to become available. The service is just there straight away. You can pick up the phone now. And I think the awareness of it has got much more. I mean, as you said earlier, Lily, I've got one of those wristbands, and I've got a water bottle as well, and that's at work with me every day. So if people I walk past or sit next to on the tube or the bus will see that I've got that wristband, and people at work have seen the water bottle, and they often ask, when they've first seen it, they ask, "Oh, what's the Burnt Chef project?" And I tell them that it's an organisation helping people with mental health and stuff, and I tell them that there's a number that they can reach out to, especially if they're in the industry, and most of the people that have asked are in the industry. So, and they're like, "Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even know that kind of service existed." So yeah, even just that little tiny wristband and that little water bottle just helped with a few people. Whether they managed to use the service or not, I don't really know, but hopefully if they did need to, or they knew a friend maybe that needed to, they passed it on.
Yeah, no, I mean,
yeah, sorry, go on, Libby.
no, I was going to say, I've had a really similar experience to that. I mean, I try and shoehorn it into almost every conversation I have with somebody in the industry anyway. But I mean, like you were saying, I think the people that do ask about it, they're so receptive to the project's message, and they want to learn more. And I'm lucky enough to engage with a lot of to chefs and be going into a lot of kitchens for a lot of my job, and just the amount of awareness has changed so much even since I've joined sort of 6 months ago. 100% more people are more aware. I see little posters on the whiteboards now with the number, and I think it's just the I guess as well the community aspect of it. I mean, personally for me, I'm able to come at things with a lot more empathy now than maybe I would have. So to mistakes and situations and to people in my personal and professional life. The people that I'm able to engage with on a day-to-day basis are just the most kind, receptive people that you would think of. And it's really nice to know that they're just dotted around the industry. Like this is the industry. It's such a nice sort of litmus test of it. But yeah, sorry, I cut you off, Kris.
I didn't have anything of any decent content that could compare with that. So, yeah, we've got a little bit. Our ambassador network is just over 200 now, and we have an internal comms channel. Can you hear me, Cara?
Yeah, sorry, I had my mic on. I was just going to say before you went into it, why did you start the ambassador scheme? Like, What was the thought process behind that?
Crikey. So it started, what, 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. And the purpose of that is that, to scale it back a little bit, the Burnt Chef project is designed to get in your face. So ever since I started it, the whole purpose of the organization is to be omnipresent. So omnipresent means we're everywhere at all times. You can't miss us, you can't avoid us. And the ambassador scheme, very much like the merchandise, was designed to work with individuals who resonated with the cause, who were able to invest some of their time and volunteer for the project to help spread the message, to allow us to reach that saturation point. And during the early days, I mean, I think we had probably about 400 ambassadors during the first phase. And it went well, and there were a lot of people representing the organization, but we had to redesign it about 2 years ago because we just wanted to make sure that we had the right people on board, those who are going to represent the organization in the right way. And also, everyone brings something different. And quite honestly, I would say that our ambassador network, and I say this to my internal team all the time, our ambassador network is our biggest asset in the business. You can strip everything else away in terms of the merchandise, the workshops, the support systems. It's our ambassadors who represent our brand, who spread the word, who provide peer-to-peer support for people around them, that are critical to our ongoing success in terms of reaching more and more people, reaching more and more countries. So yeah, it was. I never realized to the extent of how far it would spread. I just thought, we would be able to get a few ambassadors in and around maybe London and the local area. But we've got a phenomenal team in Australia who are representing us at so many different events. They were at the Nestle Chef's Hat competition recently. We have ambassadors in South Africa. So Louise, she's just done a talk to a load of South African students, and I saw her running out one of the engagement techniques where they throw a ball at a lecturer to try and simulate stress. And to see these things that were developed like 2 years ago now being run out in pockets around the world is just it's cool. It's cool. So thank you to all the ambassadors.
We've obviously talked about the EAP and James's experience. What else does the Burnt Chef project do? This is your opportunity to enlighten everybody of all of the things that they can get involved in.
I will try and keep this as clear and succinct as possible. Because
bullet points. Think bullet points.
Bearing in mind that the Burnt Chef project was just a photography campaign down in Bournemouth. That's all it was intended to do, and hopefully reach one person and open up a conversation. And it's morphed and grown and sprouted legs, arms, wings since then. The mission of the Burnt Chef project is not just to provide reactive support to those who are in crisis or those who need support with health or well-being or financial matters, but also to provide proactive solutions as well to reduce the risk of mental illness in the first place. So we have the global therapy service, which has been live for 2 months. Australia, Canada, Europe, and the UK are utilizing that a fair bit at this moment in time. We also have partnerships with organizations like Thrive, who provide proactive mental health support through a well-being app. There's a lot, actually, it gets in front of people before they're unwell. So if there's a marker of anxiety or depression or underlying illness, the therapist will message that individual before they even know that they're unwell, just to say, hey, do you want to have a chat? So we can start to mitigate and reduce the risk of crisis. Our workshops now, we have 14 workshops around resilience, menopause, finance, mental health, suicide, burnout, stress. And we're looking at the moment about designing one for the new sexual harassment changes that are coming into the UK, but they'll be very much relevant to the rest of the globe as well, to start to empower those within the industry to be more knowledgeable and to, as James said at the beginning of the call, do things less in the old way, which is just shout, scream, throw things, perhaps not even acknowledge that there's an issue, and be more mindful around that. We have a qualification. We have 2 qualifications. We've got a manager's qualification as an apprenticeship, and we also have a deputy manager or a sous chef qualification as well. That's run through PLG. And that's a unique qualification because it's got a mental health qualification built into it. So you get 2 for the price of 1. And that's something that can be funded in the UK by levy. And we do a lot more things that people don't know about. So, for example, we work with organizational psychologists who can work with your teams. This is more than a well-being survey. This is actually science-backed data that can predict where mental illness might occur, where stress and burnout risks and turnover intention is ahead of it actually happening. So again, rather than being reactive and going, oh, we've lost X number of people or the business isn't performing as well, we can actually say to them, these are your predictive markers. And if you address these now, you're less likely to lose people and you're less likely for them to become unwell. We're just about to launch ECG heart monitors. So people can wear a heart monitor for a week. It will record all their data in terms of stress levels, recovery rates, exercise, and then you get a one-on-one consultation with a stress consultant who will be able to sit down, perhaps identify where those stress periods and recovery rates are occurring or not occurring, and then work with you to improve those. So we do so much, and that's why it's so difficult to be able to communicate it, because we are a one-stop shop for this particular subject matter. So I guess if anyone is interested or they are hearing me ramble on, check out the website. And if you can't find what you need on that gargantuan website that just continues to grow, then just drop us a line and just let us know what your pinch points are. Let us know what your problems are. Let us know what support you need, and we'll customize a solution for you.
James, listening to that, is there more there than you possibly realised as well?
A little bit more that's probably come around since, as you say, the beginning of it, 2021. But yeah, I can see that when you load your when you get your new ECG monitors, I wouldn't like to be on the end of that stress level and see what that is telling me.
And when you talk to people, oh, sorry, go ahead, Kris.
No, I was going to say on the ECG heart monitors, we ran it out as a study on our internal team, and I think there's always a concern that you're stressed, but you don't necessarily want to see it. The interesting results for us showed that actually sometimes, like for me personally, my recovery is at work. So when I'm at work, I tend to be in a better recovery state. Although I feel maybe stressed, my recovery is a lot better. And being able to see it on a graph and speak it through with someone makes you more aware. So for example, if you are experiencing high levels of stress, you'll know looking back how to identify that and then what things you can do to start to mitigate that as well. So, exercising brings up recovery rate like quite dramatically, but you can see that in real time, and that's a really interesting thing about it.
Yeah, no, that would work.
And Libby, James, he's mentioned that obviously you talk about the Burnt Chef project with people. Do you both still come across some kind of key perceptions that people have about mental health, about asking for help, about what help is available? Do you still, as a certain key points that people still make, do you think, or do you think people are becoming more open?
I'll answer that from a kitchen point of view. I think people are there are still a lot of people that don't want to talk about it, or they don't think it's necessarily a big enough thing for them to talk about, or they won't help me because they don't know me or don't know what I need or something like that. Or they've just been brought up, a bit like I was trained the old school way. They think that still the old school way is the only way, just get on with it. But I think it is slowly changing. But I think that's just the nature of kitchens as they are anyway. That's nothing to do with the Burnt project not being out there enough. I think, if anything, it's probably just people being not naive, but people admitting to themselves that they don't actually have a problem, or they don't think they need to speak to someone, whether it's a very small thing or it's a massive thing. I think there's just people don't think there's that service out there when there is. And as I said, it's all over Instagram. You can type in for the internet, the Burnt Chef Project right now, and it will come up with masses of pages of information.
Libby, what about yourself? Sorry.
It's all right. No, well, I'm not from a kitchen point of view, but from a sort of wider sort of supplier point of view, I think it's very similar to what James was saying. A lot of people are wanting to implement the infrastructure to create a better space within the workspaces, and there's all that goodwill, but then when you ask them themselves, they're like, oh no, I'm fine. I don't need it. I don't need to talk about anything. And you're like, no, you definitely do. You definitely do. So I do still think there is that perception of not wanting to be seen as needing it. I've seen that quite a bit. But however, they're happy to help other people, so people within their team. But yeah, it's very similar to James, to be honest. I do see, the tide changing. I'm lucky enough to interact with so many different businesses in my job, and I have seen so many different programs, infrastructure being put in place to help sort of the younger generations, who do seem to be a lot more open. But yeah, there is still quite and I don't know what the word is, sort of unwillingness to want to be seen, to need help.
Yeah, it's almost like not necessarily an embarrassment, but it seems like you're weak to need to ask for help.
Yeah, and that's hundreds of years of stigma that's done that. When you look, if anyone's interested, type in mental illness within like medieval times, and you'll see, drawings of demons coming out of your head and holes being drilled. Like there's a lot of work to do, and we're still very early on with just generally as a society with this sort of subject matter. We know what illness looks like now, but a lot of people still aren't fully aware of what mental hygiene and good mental hygiene practices look like. But Libby, you touched upon a really interesting point, and one that I think should be highlighted, which is in the service profession, whether you're front of house, back of house, whether you're in tourism or leisure, we serve daily, right? And I think that we need to be mindful, especially from a leadership point of view, that actually by then serving your team with everything that they need and almost in the same way that you serve your customers, it's also important to serve yourself first, because I think that a lot of people, and we see this hugely with operational teams, management teams in all works of life, supply chain as well, is that, as long as my team are okay, I'll be fine. I'm just going to do another 12-hour day responding to all these emails, all these customer queries. And I think we need to be mindful that whole do as I say, don't do as I do mentality is still not going to fix the problem. We need to lead by example, which means clocking off, which means not being contacted on days off, which means demonstrating healthy behaviors and model behaviors, rather than just deflecting onto our teams rather than our customers. So it's a really good point that you raised.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a cliche now, but it's also not. But I always love that, you can't pour from an empty cup, because it is just so true. Yeah, you can make sure everybody else around you is okay, but what about when you fall over? Then that's going to impact them just as much. So yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah, definitely. You're no good. Yeah, you're no good if you're out of work and not turning up for work because you've got something going on, whether it be mentally or physically. And when there's help out there as well, then there's no need to not use it if the help's there.
Yeah.
Don't wait until it gets too bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think we just generally as human beings, we wait until it gets really, really bad before we go get help, because we kid ourselves that it's not for us. But actually, the sooner you can get help, the more likely you are to be able to recover. So anytime, like, it's there, use it. Use it as much and as frequently as you want, please, because that's what we do. That's what we're here for.
I think that's really key, actually. Yeah, that's what it's for. Use it. Don't feel like you don't want to use it too much or be reluctant. Like, obviously, it's there for that whole reason. So yeah, 100%. Libby, and in your ambassador role, and James, maybe, I don't know whether you've seen it or not, but I know it's had a positive impact on you, but have you got any positives that you've seen because of the Burnt Chef project, however small they might be, in your role, Libby, and James, yourself as well?
Yeah, I've seen so many positives. Again, just the amount of reach the project has. It's opening up those conversations within businesses to, it's okay to start putting these sort of programs in place. I also love when I do speak to different people about how, they're opening up more to me and to different people, and whereas before, everyone just says they're fine. I've been experiencing a lot more honest conversations between my colleagues and people. So I think that's one of my favorite points. But yeah.
Yeah, me too on that. In some ways, I've just found that it's better that people have seen my wristband, seen my water bottle, seen that I've spoken to other people, so they've become a little bit interested in it and go, "Oh, can I speak to you about that?" As in what services there are available, or I can just lead them even just to the website and go, "Have a look at the website, because there might be something that I can't tell you because I haven't used the service or anything, but someone else might have." Or just look at the website and you'll be able to find maybe what you need.
Kris, any final points? Do you think maybe we've explored enough about what the Burnt Chef project does? I'm hoping people are going to come away from this with I didn't realise they did that.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I thank you to both Libby and James for sharing, your experiences, because I think it's almost like the next step of evolution for us, which is actually getting those who have used therapy, who have used the support mechanisms, to talk to it, because that will have a cascading effect. A lot of people will go, "Oh, hold on a second, someone else has used it. Then I've been thinking about it for a while now. Perhaps this is the impetus to go ahead and do so." So thank you for that. And Libby, to see you in 6 months flourish, to deliver the college talks and step up and open so many conversations through, and for both of the outreach work that you guys are doing through merchandise and conversations is incredible. So I don't know if I've got a great deal more to add. I just think if you're in a HR director role, if you're a leader and you want to know more about how to support your team, how to improve performance by focusing on your greatest asset, i.e. the people in your organization, give us a shout. If you need support, then 24 hours a day in every country around the world, we're here for you to support you. The one thing I didn't mention was the free e-learning as well. We have 22 modules on bullying, suicide, nutrition, sleep, menopause, you name it. We've built it and we provide that for free around the globe. It is only available in English at this moment in time, but we're working on that. And that's a free resource. There's no excuse anymore for saying I just didn't know or I wasn't aware. I think that, those modules are short. And maybe as part of the ambassador program, I think you had to do a few of those modules. I don't know if you want to just say a couple of words about how you found them.
Yeah, of course. I found them so accessible. It was really easy to understand. None of them. It wasn't complicated at all. I found it really insightful because there's a lot on there that you think is common knowledge to yourself, but it's not. I've been able to take away quite a lot of what I learned through that into my sort of day-to-day life in my personal and career. And I'm a bit of a weirdo and I love seeing when there's new ones out. So I do quite a bit just to kind of, just so, I'm aware in case, you come into a situation and I might be able to help somebody with this information one day. So yeah, I would 100% recommend. I've even made some of my colleagues do some. So yeah.
Great work. Well done. Thank you. Cara, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, well, we have obviously overrun because we always overrun, but thank you both so much. And yeah, just to reiterate what Kris said, James, thanks so much for sharing. I think that's it is so important that people see other real people using these services and benefiting from them. I think that's a really positive message. And Libby, thank you so much. And you've done amazing. So you didn't need to be stressed about doing this at all. So thank you both. So next week we are on at a slightly later time of 3 p.m. and we are discussing optimizing human potential, Kris. So I'm looking forward to this one. So we'll see you all back here at 3 o'clock next Friday. But yes, Libby, thank you so much, and James, thank you so much for joining us, and Kris, always a pleasure.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys. Well done.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.